Welcome. Hello. It's time for Blocktalk. We're on Bitcoin block 427602. Just had a nice difficulty change, a little bump up. Check out the mempool. Probably should load this page before we started, but it should be coming along pretty good here. Anyways, we got some awesome sponsors we should talk about. First off is Bittrex, probably the best altcoin exchange around. These guys are kind of cutting edge of innovating. What's the word I'm looking for? They're providing, I guess, a new. I guess with their legal team, they're setting the standard for what altcoins need to be conducting for proper business. They're making sure they're not creating any illegal securities or anything like that. And they got a lot of markets, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and US dollar. They also do a little bit of outreach, like going to the U.S. Congress to kind of brief the Capitol Hill on what blockchains are and how they should be conducting business with them, what sort of regulatory means should they be going through. So we really thank them for their hard work in the space. We also have Syscoin. So Syscoin just released their 2.0. They're kind of building a business-based blockchain where you can have your entire stock. You're buying and selling of merchandise on their blockchain, so similar to like an eBay replacement or OpenBazaar even, but they've kind of done it in a different fashion by putting everything on a blockchain. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see these guys still humming along. We have them on the show twice already, and they're constantly improving, and we look forward to hearing from them sometime in the next month. As usual, we have our live chat going here, so if you guys have any questions or topics, feel free to shoot them out to us, or if there's any support tickets or something like that. The entire team I think is here right now from Coinigy, so if you guys really need something done, it's probably gonna have to wait an hour.
No support tickets.
No. Well, thank you for joining us, guys. We got the hottest. What is this? It's Tinder for Cats, right? Or no, that's my Friday show. What did you say, Coinigy?
What's going on, Alex? Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to have you on here. I know I'm familiar with Will and Rob, but we got a couple other new faces here, so maybe let's go down the line. Let's start with Derek. Tell us what your role with Coinigy is.
Yeah, so I came on in late 2014. I'm still a student actually in the Midwest, right by William and Rob. I'm helping out with a lot of the business development, support, public relations, onboarding, finance, a little bit of everything as per usual with any kind of small startup. And I guess that's kind of my main role. And then I guess we can move on to the newest addition to the team, Mr. Alan Byron Tenner. Is it Byron Allen?
Yeah. Whichever way you want to do it.
So what are you bringing to the table, Alan?
A lot of cigarettes.
Sounds like your typical programmer. From what I've met. But
yeah.
I guess what's your history?
Well, that's a long one. But I've got quite a history in just software and blockchain technology altogether, and the guys from Coinigy and we've known each other for, I don't know, a few years now, right, guys?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm just glad to be here. We're moving forward. We got a lot of stuff in the works, so over the course of probably the next year, you should be seeing some great stuff, new stuff coming out of Coinigy. So yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing here, is to help bring this stuff, make it all a reality.
Cool. No, it's good to hear. And I guess I should introduce William Kale. You're the CEO, right?
No, I'm actually president. Rob's the CEO. We kind of use those terms interchangeably a little bit, though.
Only because we had to choose anyways.
Right.
We're the co-founders of Coinigy.
Yeah, someday I'll fight Rob for the CEO title.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Battle Royale.
Match.
Yeah, it all depends on which lawyer is calling.
Yeah.
Now, if the lawyers call, William's the CEO.
Yeah, right, exactly. But no, so thanks so much, obviously, for having us on. Probably a few Bitcoin altcoin trading talk viewers out there So you probably know a little bit about our background, but Rob and I basically founded Coinigy back in, I think, late 2013?
Yeah, that's when we started
So,
programming it.
yep, and we've both kind of recently Rob's gone full-time on Coinigy finally as of, August? So it's been about a month,
Yeah,
right?
July. Yep.
Yeah, and then I've been basically full-time for a year, so it's been this kind of gradual kind of exodus from our day jobs into full-time Bitcoin, blockchain, trading, etc. So it's been an interesting ride, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, the space moves way too fast to really ever be bored. There's something going on every day, it seems. New stories, hacks, and new projects being launched, cutting edge stuff. But what, I guess, were you guys doing beforehand? Like, William, I maybe know your background, but I'm sure everyone at home is kind of curious. What were you working on before you came to Coinigy?
Yeah, so prior to Coinigy, I worked for a company out in New Jersey, actually, where Byron, well, we refer to him as Byron, but his moniker says Alan, so I'm just going to call him Byron, so we know who we're referring to. So he's out in Jersey as well, but I worked for a company out in New Jersey. Basically, I did, pretty much everything as far as kind of on the web related to the company. So, we did basically voice over IP. We had a product that basically, it was a software as a service for recording voicemails and just a lot of cool little fun things for, treasured keepsakes. And then we had, some bigger corporate clients and stuff as well. So I serviced them pretty often. And then prior to that, I've known Rob since like middle school. So we've basically been in and out of kind of the web game and the programming game and some skateboarding thrown in there, and some snowboarding. And so really prior to that, we did run a really, really small boutique web development shop here in Milwaukee. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it without going into too much detail, but just a lot of programming, a lot of web development, 5 years of bartending full-time in there as well.
Oh, very, very relevant experience. I imagine you're probably dealing with much alcohol with all these support tickets.
Yeah, exactly. So I loved your tweet. Feel free to submit any support tickets. So.
Well, where else are they going to go right now? So.
Oh, we got it. We have Slack up right now. If you guys submit some support tickets, it's going to pop on right now.
Oh yeah, someone's gonna have to sign off. Support ticket comes in.
That's funny. So Robert, since you recently left your last job, what were you doing before, I guess?
Well, for a while, after I finished college, I worked at a market research company, and I wrote basically like data analytics software for them that was customer facing. And then basically I wanted to start working on a startup of some kind, so I left there and went to work for a mechanical contractor that was in the area, basically just kind of a low-profile job that was gave me some extra time to sort of work on a startup, and basically Coinigy was the startup that we ended up getting involved in. Like William said, I've known him for a really long time, and we've worked on a number of startups together, various websites that were of varying degrees of success. So definitely Coinigy is so far the most successful project that we've worked on together, but we obviously still have a really long way to go also, so we're hoping to keep working on it for a long time here.
Oh yeah, every day, the turd gets a little shinier. But
yeah, exactly.
That's the best analogy I think I've heard so far.
Hopefully one day it reflects light.
Well, one can only hope. But I think even Elon Musk, the guy who was like a software magnate before he started Tesla and SpaceX, he did like 4 or 5 unsuccessful businesses before putting the yellow pages on the internet. So eventually you guys find like the niche that needs to be filled. Or it kind of comes spontaneous or whatnot. But I think the story I heard from you, Will, is that you guys are doing some arbitrage and you're already kind of writing some programs on working with APIs.
Yeah. So I guess kind of going way back to our roots. I think this was way back in like 2011, where a buddy of mine from an old school IRC buddy, kind of sent me a message saying, "Hey, check out this Bitcoin stuff." I had no idea what it was. Finally, ended up buying some. I want to say maybe like in late 2011, something like that. The price is at $15. Maybe it was like 2012, something like that. But no, I think it was 2011. But anyways, not that that matters. But so I kind of got involved really early on. I started a website called Coinly, coin.ly, and I wish I still had that domain name. But I basically put up a price ticker for Mt. Gox, and it actually got quite a bit of activity. And then I remember I actually dug up this email from like 2011 where I was telling Rob about Bitcoin, and he was like, nah, man, I don't know what this stuff is. And then, about a year later, the price kind of started shooting up a little bit, and both of us went, oh, maybe we should look into this a little bit. Maybe there is actually something to it. It actually has, some value. Like, what the heck? So. At that point, we actually both pretty much read the white paper, and at that moment, we were kind of sold just on the idea in general. Still hadn't really done much except for, deposit BTC into Mt. Gox. And so...
Oh, you're horrible. Why would you allow that to happen?
Yeah, right, exactly. So, then we started kind of getting into altcoins. Built some mining rigs. I was hoping Rob could actually bring his mining rig down. I think he's got it up in the attic and disassembled or something. But
parts.
Yeah, just started buying video cards, mining, blowing them up, all that fun stuff, and started trading on a few of the altcoin exchanges. So we started. We're both kind of programmers by nature, and obviously exchanges kind of provide public open APIs, and it's really awesome that you can interact with them and get price data and place trades and all that fun stuff. So we wrote really a couple quick scripts to kind of identify inter-exchange arbitrage opportunities. So really, I think the main one was basically on Cryptsy, to basically arbitrage between markets on Cryptsy, kind of do that as quickly as possible. And it was working for a while, so a couple of our IRC buddies kind of wanted to jump on board, so we started basically adding user accounts. And really, Coinigy was kind of born from that. We added a really simple charting library, started actually collecting data, started adding some bells and whistles. I can say, really at this point, 0% of that original code base is part of the product now. We've refactored and refactored and refactored again. That's kind of all we do all day is refactoring, and Byron can attest to that. But yeah, so really, it was born kind of out of that. Just we had kind of a little early passion for mining and messing around with this stuff and trading and yeah.
Oh yeah, and instead of making your own altcoin and trying to get everyone to buy it, you guys actually created a really powerful platform to trade altcoins on several exchanges. So I think the community really thanks you for going down that path.
Yeah, we still might open up Coinigy Coin. It's going to be like an 80% pre-mine if you guys are okay with that. Just let me know. But yeah, Rob, anything else to add to that history?
Yeah, I think it's just that it was pretty much built out of necessity for, what we needed for ourselves to just be able to have multiple exchange accounts on different exchanges. And, we were trading in like the days when MaxCoin was blowing up and started being mined. We were mining MaxCoin on like day zero and trying to trade on Cryptsy when it was first blowing up and freezing all the time and crashing all the time. And so, just the ability to control multiple accounts and see charting and improved, data and charting, tools from what any of the exchanges were offering. That was just all stuff that we really needed, for ourselves. And it's, became clear that a lot of other people felt like they needed tools like that as well, because that's how Coinigy started to grow.
And I think that's kind of how Blocktalk kind of started growing as well. It's just like I just really wanted to learn more about all these coins, and I felt the best way to do that was to actually talk to the devs. Well, and a lot of people like hearing that conversation as well. So things just grow from that. You know, you start with a small ladder, you're on the top rung, but you just keep building the ladder below you. So when did I guess Derek come along? Was he like babysitting someone's kids, and then hey, you need a job?
Yeah, well, Derek was actually one of our really early users. I think we started letting people try Coinigy in like May of 2014, and I think Derek joined in like late September of 2014. And he eventually found out that we were based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
which I was the last place I thought it would be.
Right, and so he just reached out to us on our chat and asked if he could help out in some way, and he just did volunteer work for a while, and basically just helping like keep our books and stuff like that, take care of little ancillary business type things so that William and I could keep working on Coinigy and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Derek's really evolved kind of into a very major role since then. So, and one thing I have to say about Derek too, I mean, this kid may be young, but I mean, I thought you were like in your 30s when I first met you, when I first talked to you.
My heart's gonna melt.
So Derek, you're doing kind of some of the more business side, like you're meeting with a lot of, I guess, firms kind of doing more publicity type stuff, right?
Yeah. So I guess background on what I do outside of Coinge, obviously I'm not full-time as I'm still a student. So I'm a business student studying finance and investments and economics, basically. And so right now I'm actually working full-time in a mergers and acquisitions / investment banking role. And so I come back from a background of kind of finance, and I kind of port that over to the startup world. At my day job, I see hundreds of small companies and startups, and it's just kind of interesting to be on both sides of that coin, pun intended. And they're right. I kind of evolved into kind of looking at all the finances now. I went out for kind of fundraising, if you will. And I think that's going to start more in the future as well. But yeah, I like to think I'm one of the valuable team members, if I will. Or not the most, but.
Well, I think there's a new check on the wall because of you, isn't there? With a couple more digits than that last one.
Yeah, so the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee, the university I'm attending, actually the house I'm in right now, I got invited to do, I guess it was just a business plan competition with my involvement at the business school. That was $8,000. We won first place for that, and there was a couple of venture capital firms that represented there, and a lot of kind of the CEOs of private equity firm was there, a couple other representatives. And then I would say probably 3 months later, a second startup plan came across, and they invited me again, and so I went again, and we did well there as well. And so I think it's been pretty cool to get the support from the school. And I mean, it's really not Silicon Valley or London or New York, and so it's kind of cool to see the whole kind of blockchain thing kind of take up here, just with our involvement ourselves. I mean, we now have the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel writing a story on us, and so it's pretty cool to see just the growth in this smaller city that's really not a financial hub, if you will, but still pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I actually just saw, ironically enough, an article in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and Milwaukee ranks like second to last in the country as far as startups or something like that. So, we're not really in the. I mean, I guess you could say we're kind of
the scene right now.
Yeah, right, exactly. We're like the big fish in the extremely small pond right now. So.
Yeah, and Derek, in addition to the raising the money that way through those business plan competitions and things like that, he was also an integral part of our recent capital raise that we did that was pretty significant, and led to us being able to bring on Byron to basically refactor Coinigy's total back end, and then we're in the process of hiring somebody right now to help William essentially refactor the front end of Coinigy, and add all those new features and better stability and speed that everybody is obviously waiting for us to be able to add.
Yeah, so I guess this would be a good opportunity for you guys to do a shout out for whatever skills you're kind of looking for, whatever code bases you're working with.
Yeah, sure. So as far as the front-end developer position, we're really looking for somebody, number one, that pretty much understands basically React and Redux, kind of componentized front-end, JavaScript stuff. So yeah, I mean that's really about it. We put a job posting out on We Work Remotely, and we've gotten just inundated with resumes. So I've been kind of interviewing like crazy for the past week or so now, and we got a few kind of promising candidates and stuff. So, but if anybody's watching out there, feel free to email founders@coinigy.com with your resume. Love to see it, especially if you have experience with crypto and you're interested in blockchains and that technology. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think you'll probably get some people who are maybe even overqualified, or maybe should be paid more than you're offering, because just like Derek in the space, I've interviewed several companies where people are like, yeah, I didn't really care if I got paid. I just really wanted to be more involved. I wanted to start meeting with people. I wanted to be developing. I knew the money would come eventually, or I didn't even really care about the money. It was just about getting my foot in the door and learning more about this. So it's
yeah, that would be ideal, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, I mean, definitely reach out to us, founders@coinigy.com. So, we're taking it, day by day here, and just trying to see what comes in, and hopefully we click and all that fun stuff. So, yeah.
Cool. So, I guess it'd be a good time to talk about maybe the security of the platform. If you guys are bringing in new people, what sort of, precautionaries are you taking on protecting data? I know the front end you can kind of segregate it a bit more, but how are we keeping Alan on watch here on the back end, making sure our data doesn't leak out to anyone?
Yeah, we have actually a squirrel tied to a string, and on the other end is a keyboard. And whenever Byron wants to type, he just yanks the string a little bit. No, honestly, I mean, we're extremely cautious. I mean, that's basically our number one priority. So, Byron still is kind of a new team member, so I think he's gotten, basically DevDB access at this point after a month or so. So, just if that gives you kind of a little bit of an idea, we love you, Byron. But, so really, as far as a front-end developers comes in, I mean, we've got everything extremely well partitioned off, and that's only going to get a lot better in the future as far as kind of siloing, each employee. I hate to use the term employee. I should say partner or something, but keeping people's noses out of places that they shouldn't necessarily be. But really the shapeshift hack freaked the hell out of me. So that keeps me up at night. So that's we have to be extremely cautious. Obviously, it's a huge deal, especially in the future. Some of the kind of future features that we plan on adding, potentially wallet hosting and transferring between exchanges, that kind of stuff. Obviously that's going to dial it up to 11, to quote some Spinal Tap. So.
Yeah, and like William said, Byron has access just to a development copy of our database that's purged, but we also keep all sensitive account data and API data and authentication data is all encrypted in our database, and so even with access to the database, you can't just view personal data or API data or anything like that. So even when it comes time that we can trust him fully enough to give him access to those resources, it's still not like you can just browse and view that kind of information. So and in addition, that's one of the key reasons that we brought Byron on board, is because he's been in operations at existing exchange platform, and we won't get into the details of it now, but he's been in the crypto community for a really long time, and we've known him, and he's reputable, so we definitely trust him with access to those resources, but we're still taking it slowly, even though we do trust him fully.
Oh yeah, even in a trustless system, you still have to have some form of trust with any sort of people involved. As soon as there's one party other than yourself, you gotta have trust.
Yeah, I mean, I wish at this point we were trustless. Maybe that's a goal to achieve in the future, and we can knock out our own DAO or something. I don't know what blockchain I would put it on at this point, but
the DAO will write the code itself, and it'll just create its own software.
But I got to step in here and say, as the new guy that just came in, and I'm always security first on pretty much everything I look at. I mean, you guys so far have done a pretty good job of making sure that customers are secure when they come to the site and put in their information, especially when it comes to their payments and stuff like that. I've yet to see anything really that anybody could say, or even any way of actually hacking in or getting any of that information to begin with. So I'm just going to say you guys so far have done a really good job with that. So if any customer or anybody ever has any questions or anything about that, it definitely is a secure platform, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, that's good. And one thing I've learned about Byron so far with working with him is that if he saw something that he felt was not right or should be done differently or something like that, he would definitely speak up. So, I trust him when he says that he thinks it's A-OK so far, because I've heard a couple things that performance-wise maybe weren't A-OK that I've already heard about. So, and we fixed a lot of those things already just in the first few weeks since he's joined on board. So.
That's really good to hear. So, Byron, have you kind of seen, now that you got a better look at the platform, do you have any ideas that aren't on your long to-do list of things from Rob and Will?
Oh yeah, I got a huge list of stuff. I don't want to kill anybody too quickly. You know what I mean? So right now I'm still kind of just learning the platform. I'm getting there. I'm really starting to understand it. Understand how everything works, and I guess that's really the best thing for me at this point, is really to just learn the platform, and then which is coming along really well. Every day I'm learning more and more pieces and pieces how everything's fitting together. Because obviously when any new developer steps in, it takes them, they have to understand how the data flows through the system, figure out what's working, what's not working, what's right, what's not quite right, where we can improve, and so far I think Rob and I, we've been working pretty closely together. We've come up with some great ideas. We've managed to work on some plans going forward. We have some great ideas to improve the back end of the site. So once we get that front end developer, things will really start moving forward. We'll be able to start hooking things up, and I think the customers will really be impressed by a lot of the new stuff that we're going to be able to do, along with the increased speed and security of the site.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. I'm so excited. I know I've heard, Will, you've said maybe in the past on Coinigy shows, you expressed interest in platforms like MadeSafe, which is kind of like the next version of the internet. Do you guys kind of have any, I guess, hopes or ambitions for moving Coinigy to this new Web 2.0 sort of thing, building it on the technology that we're trading?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too crazy out there, but I don't see anything like that happening in the immediate future. But down the road, yeah, I mean, I'd love it for you to just be able to download a client, basically keep everything stored locally, everything encrypted, and almost. I mean, one big thing too that we really want to work towards is kind of integrating decentralized exchanges. Right now they don't really have a lot of volume, but potentially pairing, our new fresh UI with kind of like a decentralized type exchange would be a pretty, cool item, I think.
Yeah, I can already think of 5 different platforms. I know MadeSafe has barely been launched yet, but there's already a Safe Exchange coin. Then there's Next with its entire ecosystem of assets. BitShares has their whole trading online sort of deal.
Yeah, open ledger, right?
Yeah, like so, this space is already teeming with all of these decentralized systems. BitSquare was the other one that was launched not too long ago. It has like Tor implementations, so there are a lot of ways to keep your funds, I guess, offline and still be trading or working with these clients. But it'd be really cool, to still interface it with them anywhere, with your phone or with a web client on a tablet or something. So
and I think to add to that too, that's part of why I, at least myself, kind of want to move us more towards like React as far as on the front end, because like React Native, I mean, there's other alternatives like Ionic and stuff, but being able to kind of use one code base across multiple devices is going to be a huge benefit, and especially even like with React Native, I mean, for example, we could have a desktop version of Coinigy rolling off of the same components with just some slight tweaks, and you can even essentially offload data basically from the server onto your desktop, kind of in a local store, so you can keep it safe when you're not logged in. There's cool stuff like that we'd love to explore in the future. So, any devs out there that are that are into that stuff, definitely contact us.
So, talking about the distributed exchanges, a lot of the problems that they are having, and a lot of the reason that they do have low volume, like you were saying, is because of the fact that they have just such terrible interfaces and they're so complicated for the average user to use.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of attest to that, having at least tried out or at least seen, a couple of the first versions of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's really, I kind of see us as basically pioneers in that respect, as far as we're going to build a kick-ass UI, and, it's going to be probably the best thing you've ever seen, so...
Yeah,
I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah.
Well, you guys have standardized charting across all these exchanges. Like, that was the main thing I think I hate about going to a new exchange, or it's like, oh, well, I want to buy this, new alt that's not traded on Trex or Polo yet. Oh, now I gotta try and figure out how their damn chart works. Oh, the default is 5 minutes. What the hell is that? Like, there's not even enough trades every 5 minutes. Like, I feel like when you're starting an exchange, your default should just be the daily candle, because there's nothing else you can really see from that. Like,
yeah, it's true too, and that's the whole reason that we started it, and that's why it's just kept rolling, because no matter which exchange seems to shut down or whichever new one pops up, they always seem to be lacking in a lot of those front end features, and which is probably a good thing in that they're focusing more on their back-end systems and their security and their matching engine and things like that. But we can kind of take over some of that front-end development and apply that to whatever exchange comes along.
Awkward silence.
yeah, sorry, I was just typing to the audience to see if they had any questions as well. But I'm losing my train of thought. No, I think there's definitely some merit to have everything linked to one place. So, do you guys look at going beyond crypto at some point, like linking to maybe some more traditional forex sites, or are you strictly crypto oriented?
Yeah, I mean, for now, before Rob chimes in, I'll take over, and I'll say right now we're strictly crypto. And we plan on being strictly crypto for quite a while. So that's definitely within our capabilities in the future. So, we may kind of go the forex route, but it'll be in addition to crypto. We're interested in crypto. We love crypto. This is what we're in. So,
Yeah.
but one thing I wanted to add too is a lot of people, a lot of our users and some other folks out there, they log on to Coinigy and they see we use the TradingView charting library. So they kind of equate us with TradingView. TradingView it's great. I mean, they have a lot of forex markets, a lot of, and now they're adding more crypto markets, which is cool. And it's a cool, social site and everything. But really, as far as Coinigy is concerned, the charting, all the data, number one, is coming directly from our servers. So I think, how many billions of records are we up to now, Rob? Any idea?
I think it's like 5 or 6 billion of just raw trades.
Right, so we're in real time essentially cataloging all of this data, warehousing it, making it available to hundreds of clients worldwide, and then we also have a real-time WebSockets API. So any developers out there, you guys can actually sign up for Coinigy and get an API key, and you can connect to our WebSockets feed, and you can just get real-time trades spit at you till the cows come home. So it's really awesome for developers, especially if you're building a trading bot. And also, I mean, you can build another platform essentially on top of Coinigy. So we're kind of also, right now, Derek's actually mainly handling kind of some of the, negotiations as far as some other platforms out there trying to essentially connect to our real-time API and provide that to their users. So it should be interesting to see.
Yeah, just getting a comment in the chat here. That's someone really wants to see the one feature TradingView where you can have like the math and the bar at the top, so you can do divided by and have a USD market show up pretty easily.
Yep, it's coming.
Soon,
I mean, it is coming. So that's on our huge laundry list. I forget what I think it's called, basically like a cross correlation or something like that, where you can type in Bitcoin US dollar divided by Ethereum US dollar or whatever, and it gives you the ratio. And it supports different mathematical numerators. Is that the right word? So that's coming. There's quite a few, other features that TradingView has on their charting library that aren't necessarily available to guys like us because we're just using their charting library. We're not part of TradingView, so we're working on it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know there's going to take a lot of funds to move away from the TradingView library, but is that starting to become more, I guess, within view, or is it starting to seem more attainable now that you guys are starting to get funding like this?
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. So, a while back, we kind of took a little bit of an initiative to build out our own charting library, but to be honest with you, we don't have the human resources. We don't have the human capital to do it. At some point, I would love to. So don't count that out, definitely. I mean, if you look at, like, for example, CryptoWatch, that guy has done an awesome job, and I believe it's built in React as well. So, coming up with something at least comparable to that, or building off of that, I mean, in the future would be awesome.
Yeah, maybe a guy from CryptoWatch needs a job.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because making a charting library, and actually having it with any form of reasonable speed, it's no easy feat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that we would really ever want to replace, what we have until we can offer something that's as good or better. TradingView does do a really good job with what they've accomplished, and there's a lot of, development that's obviously gone into their charting library. And we've done, regular reviews, say every 6 months or so, to kind of look at what's out there on the market available for purchase or licensing and things like that. And there isn't anything, really comparable, as probably a lot of people who have looked at online charting already know. So as soon as we can offer something that's not a downgrade for our users, then we'll definitely be exploring those opportunities for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you're looking at even like your average user, like we can talk about power users like Mr. Beamish, and now he just wants all the functionality of TradingView right now.
Sure.
And you have like the more crypto-oriented guys who are like, man, I really want to see difficulty on this chart, and I want to match it up with hash rate. I want to see, I want to compare two exchanges. I want to see how Yobit and Crypto are trading against each other, or see arbitrage. So you guys could be building all of these, tools out that are adding to your platform, and like to spend that same amount of resources on building just the same thing but slightly different. The end user is not going to see the value in that. So.
Well, and I think it's given us a lot of opportunities. The fact that a lot of people who are into charting of securities and financial instruments in general. They're familiar with TradingView, and they already know how to use it, and they know how the features work and what the indicators that they like to use are called. And that's another thing that we're really trying to work with TradingView closely on, is getting the ability to offer the Pine scripting, the custom Pine scripting, so that users can create their own indicators or use indicators they've created on TradingView and that they use on TradingView. So we're always trying to explore ways to even, whether it's to do our own charting library or license something, or maybe improve our relationship with TradingView so that we can offer some more features that currently they don't make available to us.
Yeah, and one thing to add too, just as far as some of the other kind of ancillary features that we offer, like Alex, you mentioned, for example, like overlaying difficulty and that kind of stuff. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's a delicate dance, as far as where do we put our time into this platform, because obviously, Rob, I mean, I know I've mentioned this before. Rob and I are pretty much working, 16-hour days and just pouring our hearts and soul into this, and we really try to build out things that are a little bit different. So we do actually have, like difficulty, like
reward size, coins outstanding.
Yeah, so you can actually right now you can overlay that stuff on the charts, but we definitely plan on obviously expanding on that, making it prettier, making it easier to view, as well as getting more chains integrated. We also, we're kind of working pretty tightly on trying to get kind of a block explorer going, as we do have all of this data. So in addition to just trading data, we have basically warehoused just tons of data on specific blockchains, and that's actually what gets overlaid on the chart when you click on the difficulty button or whatever you want to call it. So being able to kind of provide everything in one place is. Somebody was asking in chat, kind of describe our core concept. Really, to me, I don't know, Rob, you guys might have something different, but I mean, to me, it's really just being able to open up one app and basically get everything you need in order to make educated trading decisions, and basically manage your crypto wealth.
Right, yeah, and I mean, it kind of leads back to, like Alex asked about, whether we might look at doing Forex things and stuff like that. And, we're definitely a crypto-first platform. And, so we're looking to give anybody who's either even casually investing or all the way down to doing day trading or even like bot trading, we want to give any of those different people all the tools necessary for them to basically be successful in whatever they're trying to accomplish. And we do want to add the ability to do charting overlays with some more traditional financial instruments, like Forex and commodities, and maybe even certain stocks. And up until recently, it's mostly just been about the costs and the manpower to implement those things. But we do want to add some of the data for that on the charts. But other than that, we're definitely, a crypto-focused and platform and dedicated to advancing, those tools that are available specifically for crypto trading.
Well, that too. I mean, I know me personally, I've spent a lot of time recently going over and thinking and looking at the API and, just going over how it can be used by our customers to take better advantage of the system as a whole. So those people that did want to use their own trading platform or their own bot or something can hook into the Coinigy API and have all those features right there and not be stuck using one particular bot that's just tied to a single exchange or maybe two exchanges. But no, we're giving them access to all of it just off of one system.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually. You know, if somebody created a bot that used, you know, the Coinigy API specifically, that bot could be used to trade on any exchange just by, you know, plugging in your API key from whatever exchange it is you want to use, and it would work the same no matter what. So.
Just building off of the whole conversation of adding forex and other commodities, like if you're in or in crypto, that stuff is coming to you. Like if you were say plugged into BitShares, you would have all these pairs like BitUSD and BitEuro, like and now they're working on other platforms which will have like more commodity. Like Ethereum, I interviewed was it Digix, and they have a token that is pretty much the exact value of gold because it's all like a proof of asset sort of concept. So every one of their BFX tokens is not BFX. That's
Probably not BFX.
No, that's not it. No, it's DGX. That's what it is. DGX is it's like 1 gram of gold, and like they have like a photo tied to and they have a third-party auditor. It's all in like a vault in Singapore. So for the most part, that is like a crypto version of gold. Like it's all backed. So
Sure.
to be able to trade that on one of these exchanges, or maybe even on the Ethereum network, if you guys plug into that at some point, then you will be trading gold, or you will be trading silver, US dollar, and yeah, you can be building all these tools out.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, it sounds like, people or developers, whatever you want to call them, are finally bridging that last endpoint, as far as tying crypto into the real world. And that's kind of like what I know, we've been kind of waiting for, as opposed to just your typical altcoins out there kind of pump and dump stuff. So it's really refreshing and honestly kind of awe-inspiring to see like what's been happening in the space for the last year or so. There's finally some where I wouldn't call it 100% legitimate yet, obviously due to hard forks and stuff, but there are quite a few assets that are now kind of moving more into the legit mainstream style, of I'm losing my train of thought, but they're basically legit now.
Well, there's always going to be the wild, wild west aspect of it, and that's really what freedom of finance tool is. So you're going to have the bad actors. That's why I used an analogy in one of my other videos of like fermentation. Like fermentation allows us to store food for endless amounts of time, but it also allows us to make alcohol. So alcohol can be used for, like, it's the source of all the world's problems, and it's the solution to all of them.
That's an awesome analogy.
With a lot of that is you have all these assets that are tied to U.S. dollar, CNY, ruble, euro, but on the same on the flip side of that coin is we're also introducing centralization into that and trusting in those, just as the current banking system is to with your regular fiat money, which is part of the problem that crypto really aims to solve. So I understand people wanting to have the stability of those currencies on the blockchain, but I think in the future something's going to come along. I don't know what it is yet. Maybe it's just good old Bitcoin. Who's to say at this point? We don't know, but it does. Something's got to do away with the ability for, like you said, with the gold, where they have their third-party auditors come in. We have to trust that the company and those third-party auditors and what have you have done their proper diligence, and there isn't something going on behind the scenes where they're actually not liquid and we don't know about it. So we got to look out for something in the future, that solves this. But for now, I think where we've come and where we're going, I think we're headed in the right direction. I think there's some coins out there that have made strides, but have kind of fallen off. I'm not gonna name names, but I'll just say like one large blockchain in particular that they were doing so well, and then they kind of decided to basically centralize their system by making decisions on their own, which if it's your blockchain, you want to do that, that's fine, but you know, people have to understand that there's consequences to these things, given, you know, since it's not just you, me, a bank, or what have you, it's a global economy here that's potentially affected by these changes. So
Yeah, I think the point that I was hoping to go for was kind of like you guys don't need to be looking back at the old system. Okay, how can we integrate this? You should be like over it. Like, okay, how are we, you know, integrating these new economies into our system? That, you know, like, you know, TradingView adds Polo, and that's like everyone's freaking out. Like, that's great, but it's like if the people on TradingView realize what you guys are adding, they would be like head over heels and realize that the pairing that they have for gold is nothing compared to the pairing that you guys might have for gold. Like,
Right,
they,
yeah.
they don't even compare.
No, I pick up what you're laying down, and I mean, yeah, you know, now hopefully now once we get some more developers on board, we'll be able to kind of start exploring more of these not pie in the sky ideas, but more kind of avant-garde, cool, crazy features that, you know, comes to us in a dream, basically.
You know, one example I kind of have of what you're talking about, Alex, and is, you know, it's just kind of an interesting example that I've noticed on our platform is we have a service that basically determines a conversion rate for every one currency to any other currency, basically. And obviously, these are mostly all digital currencies, obviously, but we still get derived exchange rates for a pair like USD Euro because we know how they translate through, you know, Bitcoin, for example. And I've actually compared those exchange rates that we've derived to like what Google returns if you look up what the exchange rate is. And it's obviously extremely close, you know, because people are trading based off that and they're doing arbitrage and other things that it's all, you know, creating that equality. But, you know, like you were saying, you can basically, you know, through crypto, those types of pairs and those types of different digitized assets, if you will, you know, we can get those prices and exchange rates through all those commodities and things like that, right? You know, just derived through that data.
Yeah, maybe to plug an old sponsor of the show, Quadriga CX, a Canadian exchange that I've got a lot of my Bitcoin through. They have a Canadian pairing and a US dollar pairing with Bitcoin. And to transfer Canadian there and then withdraw US dollar by going through the two markets. Sorry, I'm making some trapped milk right now. But to go through those pairings, sometimes the rate is even you come out with more money than you would at any other Forex exchange, or like if you went to the airport or whatever. So these marketplaces can show that like how much of a clog in the pipes everything else is. But yeah, I think you guys could be driving a lot truer values if you start, you know, playing with the math and of all the pairings that you have available to you. That would definitely be cool to see. Sorry, Will, did you have something else to add?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, I was going to ask Rob, do you remember how many thousands of records basically our entire table is? I mean, it's like...
Yeah, it's something like 175,000 different prices because we keep them, instead of trying to convert it on the fly, we keep like an exchange rate for every possible conversion, and then we just look it up instead. So we have like a reference table. It's a couple 100,000 records of different exchange rates from pair to pair. And you know, like you mentioned, you know, it's actually maybe more accurate than some exchange rate you might get at any one bank because it's based off of, you know, a global system that moves assets more efficiently than any other system, basically. So globally, the price that we're able to derive from those index prices is probably more accurate than a lot of others that you might get.
Yeah, and I should add too, that's a weighted index. So basically, this is any cryptocurrency into any other cryptocurrency or fiat currency that basically Coinge is supported. We can do basically an instant exchange rate on that.
So basically, what you're saying, Will, is that Coinigy is the Google of crypto.
Uh-oh, I think we found a new tagline.
Well, I think once you guys get the the divisor, the comparator tool working, you can draw forex charts that are 7 days a week. This is another reason why I think people on TradingView will realize like, oh, I have OTC trading or weekend trading available on this platform. Why wouldn't I go here? If you poured in some sort of any-to-any tool like where you can trade between the pairs, like now you have forex 7 days a week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into the ETF territory yet, but that's definitely a good idea.
Just add it to the list. The possibilities are endless. I'm sure the TradingView guys are sitting around at their boardroom tables like, what if we change the color scheme? It's genius. I love it.
Yeah.
I feel evil for laughing at that.
Change the share icon.
It was good.
No, but then you guys you have like walls of like dry erase boards. Like, okay, no, we can't do that this week. We gotta let's get the core list of things. We gotta have a target to hit. There's too many
that's how we are right now. I mean, I think our basically my personal list is up to like 200 some items. So, and we're just working on knocking everything out as quickly as humanly possible.
Byron's got a child that says it's time for Blocktalk to end, I think.
Yeah, we're at the end of the hour here, so I think we can probably end her. I don't think we're getting any questions, but let me just pull up my handy-dandy chart here, and we'll do our little tradition of ending the show with a price prediction.
Nice. I've been looking forward to this for so long.
Let me just pull up Bitcoin wisdom.
Burn.
Oh, snap. All
Remember
right.
when William and I thought that there'd never be a day when we would be as awesome as Bitcoin wisdom.
Yeah, that's I think maybe one tool I would like is something that I don't need to log into. I could just see the price quickly.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
an eternal debate for us.
The freemium model or not?
Yeah, I should add that as well. I mean, just because, obviously Coinage is a paid service. We need, in order to get cool new features, it costs time, and time costs money. So essentially, we decided to kind of go with the premium model as opposed to the freemium model. We may change that in the future, so we'll see how things go. This really started out kind of with the premium model just due to a need of, servers are expensive, and especially when, originally it was just Rob and myself running, maintaining everything, handling support tickets, fixing bugs, waking up at 3 in the morning, checking my phone, and making sure everything was humming along on the site.
Tweeting.
Which I still do, but and lots and lots of tweeting, man. But
people don't even realize the cost required just in storing all the massive amounts of data that's been collected.
Right.
Yeah. Rob, you said you had like something like 6 billion transactions or trades.
Yep, somewhere right in that neighborhood. I actually pulled it up here. So yeah, we've got 2.3 billion raw trades, and then we've got another. So we have 1 minute bars stored also, and we've got 2.1 billion 1 minute bars. So just over 5 billion records total that we keep stored in the cloud. And right now, basically, we haven't even tapped that resource in other than to we offer sale of the raw data, but we don't have any online software tools that tap that data yet. That's another untapped resource that we have that we want to build out tools so people can use that data for trading and API purposes.
Like I just found that number interesting because it's almost like one trade for half of all the people on the planet. Kind of crazy to think that crypto's gotten to that level. Well, yeah. There's a lot of Chinese bot trades, but still.
Yeah, you can thank OKCoin for the large breadth of it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's 350 gigabytes of crypto data.
That's a lot of hard drive space. You guys are going to have to put it on StorageCoin.
StorageCoin, yeah.
All right, so let's...
Derek actually has a history with storage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Care to share, or is it kind of...
Yeah, No, it's nothing to worry about. I actually was, I want to say, the 11th or 12th kind of Slack member over at Storage with Sean, and I actually went to Chicago with Sean and Purdue. So I know was it last week you talked to Sean?
Yeah, it was last Saturday, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I'm good friends with Sean and the guys over there.
Cool, yeah, no, he was a blast to talk to. I love his enthusiasm, and yeah, they're
Smart guy.
I think they're probably going to be bringing the next wave of new users in once they kind of get their whole platform figured out. That's something that can really, you can really explain to people easily. It's like Dropbox or it's Google Drive. You just install this program and you get paid and your hard drive's full. So, Will, you probably know the deal by now. What's the Bitcoin price going to be in a week's time?
Ooh, I'm picking first, so I got to try to throw people off a little bit. I'm sad to say I'm going to go with like roughly 550, I think.
Wow.
We're going to retrace, man. Wicks and tails love to be eaten.
Yeah. Okay, Rob.
I'm going to go with 576.48.
576.
Are you going right off the fib? Is that why?
No, I'm going right off the current price. Look at this trading range we're in. If we get another 7 days out of it, I might be right on.
Honestly, I've been doing like all these price predictions. Like somebody has always guessed the same price as what it's at, and they're usually the one to win right now because it's been the same. Like we're seeing so much relative stability. Even before we had this relative stability here, and then we have a massive crash because Phoenix likes to do Phoenix things, and then then we're just back in like a nice little narrow band again. Derek, what do you think?
I'll be an optimist. I'll go with 620.
That's it?
That's optimistic, huh?
Hey, I'm a finance guy. We can't be that optimistic.
Oh man! And then our final member of the team. What do you think?
I'm gonna say it's gonna stay around 560, 570.
I need a official number here. What's
565.
There you go. 565.
Good compromise.
98.
0.98. All right.
That's going to be the kicker right there.
I think I'm going to be a little more bullish. I'm going to say maybe, on the Storage Coin show, I said we were going down. I got to, split my losses here, or split my guessing. Yeah, I'm gonna say we're gonna go back up to this point right up here. So I'll say 555. I'll give you a little space there, Derek. Another concept, not to give you guys another thing to add to the site, but
here we go. I'm just kidding.
Well, the concept of prediction markets, like you guys could have an Augur Explorer or something, and I don't know. You're going to get the most random markets showing up, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, see, I still don't even... Maybe one of the other guys on the team knows more about Augur, but I only know the brief overview as far as prediction markets. I haven't really dug in, but...
I've tried doing quite a bit in prediction markets over the years, and in crypto, it doesn't work.
Well, I think there's potential, at least in terms of replacing the old system of futures contracts or settlements and everything like that. But that's maybe a topic for another show.
Yeah, you're starting to get deep into that one.
Yeah, you angered Byron, Alex.
Yeah, I better let him put his kids to bed, and then he can fuss all about it for a little. All right, guys, this has been a great chat. I'm happy to learn more about the company and meet new members of the team. I hope we're going to be on again, and we'll fill out the rest of the bar at the bottom here with more members. Well, sure there will be, sometimes.
Yeah, we can be like the library team. Library had like 20 across the bottom. Anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, it's quite all right. Library was almost overwhelming at that point. I'm like, you know what? You can leave the janitor at home or something.
The New Jersey Summer Beach Bash over here, and everybody comes.
Count me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come back out to Milwaukee for the next one. How about that? That sounds like a good plan.
All right, deal. We'll fly Byron in too.
All right, sweet. All right, so yeah, great show, everyone, and everyone watching at home. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. We just broke 1,000 subscribers. So, yeah, yeah, but we always can use more, you know. So see you in the next 1,000 blocks. Ciao.
Bye-bye.